So by 1550 and 1400 BCE, Jerusalem was under Egypt. Canaan was the name of a large and prosperous ancient country located in the Levant region of the present-day Lebanon, Syria, Jordan, and Israel. Canaan was named after Canaan, the grandson of Hazrat Muhammad al-Islam. So while I was studying this research and preparing this documentary, only then I came to know that the grandson of Hazrat Muhammad al-Islam was known as Canaan. And the area is known after Canaan. So many areas are known after the people who lived there. So this is the Levant. This area is known as the Levant. This is also known as the Fertile Crescent because this area is like a crescent. Jaise ek chand hota hai. This area is also known as crescent. This area is not a great sea. This is a great sea, whatever you call it. And this area is the Canaan. And Jerusalem is situated somewhere over here. So then another important civilization of that time was Egypt, and the other important civilization was Mesopotamia. And so it was for Egyptian, it was not difficult for the people to go to the Canaan and occupy the city of Jerusalem. According to the Bible, the Israelites' history of the city began in 1000 BCE with King David's arrival, following which Jerusalem became the city of David. So Daud al-Islam ke aane ke baad, when he conquered the city became known as the city of David. And this is the occupation of the city of David according to the painter's idea. This is, of course, it is hypothetical. It is just a conjecture of the mind of the painter who saw that event. Then these oldest surviving monuments, the portion of the wall surviving here, and the portion of the wall surviving here, and some of the arches and some of the lower chambers of this area. And also in the distance we can see the Tower of David. And then the Tower of David is over here again, having changed its shape many times. And then the dome of the Masjid al-Aqsa, that is the back of the Masjid al-Aqsa. So this dome is not covered with golden sheets like the Dome of the Rock. It is covered with lead sheeting. And it has got a spin as a spiral at the top, which is known as the funnel. Sometime we discuss the element of the funnel also with you. Now this is the city of David as it is existing today. It has been unearthed very recently. So these are the areas, some of the areas of the city of David. So if you go to Texela, we see the ancient cities like this which have been unearthed. So it is similar to that. We can identify what was what at that time. Nevertheless, it is believed that these excavations refer to the city of David. And likewise, there is another excavation which shows us the remains of the palace of David. This is the remains of the palace of David. And if you look at the construction of the walls or construction of the towers over here, we can just imagine or visualize the massive construction which had taken place for the construction of the palace of David. So this is the area which is will be the focus of our study. This is the platform, the raised platform, and these are the four walls. And the Masjid al-Aqsa is here, and the entrance of the Masjid al-Aqsa is of course on the front. And there is an entrance or a couple of entrances over here, and there is a couple of entrances over here. Now this level is higher, and this level is lower, and this level is much lower. So that means the mosque is at various levels, which is a very unusual thing in the case of a mosque. But nevertheless, it is like that, and we have to look at the various levels of these mosques. So it's quite a wide under platform. Under the area, it is quite wide, stretching from one side to the other side, and almost a square area. And then in the distance, we have the Dome of the Rock, which is standing on an octagonal first story. And then there is the clear story, and then there is the dome of it. And this is the dome of the chain, to which I referred in the early lectures. Later King Hazrat Suleiman built a more substantive temple, the Haikal-e-Suleimani, the Temple of Solomon, completed in 957 BCE. Hazrat Suleiman temple was the first temple in Jerusalem or Baitul Maqdis. So ये जो हज़रत सुलेमान ने अपना पैलेस बनाया, that is known as Haikal-e-Suleimani. And if I ask you what is a haikal, तो haikal से आप क्या मुराद लेते हैं? What is your opinion? What is a haikal? Anyone?
Palace.
जी,
Palace.
पैलेस भी हो सकता है और कुछ, जैसे हम कहते हैं देव हैकल, तो फिर वो देव हैकल देव पैलेस हो गया, बट ये तो बात कोई बनी नहीं फिर।
Is it tower?
जी, तो हैकल has many meanings. Actually, when I say this I should be a small I, not the capital. So this is the meaning of the haikal. Is like a pun having many meanings. The word haikal has many meanings, like it is a temple, it is a physique, it is a statue, it is a habitus, it is robust, it is a person, it is a fan. तो कई चीज़ें हो सकती हैं. तो that is the haikal Suleimani, and this is a picture, conjectural picture of haikal Suleimani. And there are more picture of haikal Suleimani. This is the picture of Jerusalem at the time of Jesus alayhi salam. And this is just another picture of the same period. People have been thinking what was the shape of this city and what was the shape of this and this. It is like when we are studying the Islamic architecture or the evolution of Islamic architecture in Medina. So we do not know what was the shape of the house of the Prophet. So we try to make many conjectural ideas कि वो इस तरह का एक घर था. On one side, there were 9 chambers for the wives of the Prophet. On one side, there was a covered area for people to pray. And on one side, there was a platform which was being used for the al-Sufa. al-Sufa वो लोग थे जो Prophet के साथ मक्का से मदीना हिजरत करके आए. तो वो लोग उस प्लेटफॉर्म पे ठहरे हुए थे. And one of them was Bilal Habshi, of course. तो Bilal Habshi ने जब अजान देनी शुरू की तो he started the azan from that platform. Lekin the exact position or the location of the house of the Prophet is not known. So we try to make out from the history or for the evidences or the stories which are written by the historian कि वो जो इस तरह था. So these pictures, these drawings or these models are also like that. पता नहीं है हमें what was the shape, but we try to make it out. And the very recent or the important example is that is about the tomb of Halicarnassus. जो हेलिकार्नासस में एक बहुत बड़ा मकबरा है मौसोलस का, तो सारा का सारा गिर गया. Nobody knows what type of mausoleum it was. So we have been, or the artists have been trying to make pictures out of that. Or but even some of them have been able to. It is just like today in our forensic sciences. किसी चोर को पकड़ना होता है तो हम उस चोर की वो किसी पूछते हैं गवाह से कि उसकी शक्ल कैसी थी. Then an artist make very many pictures and then the person says कि मुझे इस तरह मिलता था. So that is again conjectural evidence, which is known as the evidence for the sake of the police. तो इसी तरह ये सारे जो conjectural imagination है, the people have been trying to make out how the palaces at that time looked at. This is another drawing of the Solomon Palace. And what's so important is its sizes are huge. For example, look at the size of the person and the size of the roof. Too huge. And look at the column. And look at the platform outside and the cauldron outside and so on. Yet another drawing representing the Haikal Suleimani. And one of the interiors of Haikal Suleimani is enormous, too big. Yet another picture of Haikal Suleimani. This has been repeated again. And then the Herod's temple was built like this. Once again, nothing survived of this temple today. But nevertheless, people think it was something of this shape. And this is a conjectural drawing again, the blow-up drawing, which is a sectional drawing, which shows up if a portion of the building is removed, how the interior of the Herod Palace or temple would look like. Yet another picture, and this is the area which has come to our study today. This has been demolished altogether. This platform is surviving even today. And Masjid al-Aqsa is over surviving here. Dome of the Rock is over here. And so this has come to us today. And that is the position or the focus of our study. So this picture I have shown you again before also. It's a repetition, and this is another picture from a different angle. Now the city has outgrown. There are so many buildings all around this monument. And then here comes the building, which is our focus today, and this building, which will be our focus, inshallah, next week. This picture you have seen. This picture you have seen already. Sorry. Sorry, this is a repetition. So coming back to the history, Babylonian under Nebuchadnezzar, or it is also pronounced as Nebuchadnezzar, captured the city in this 586 or 587, so on. Thereafter, the Cyrus II of Persia, Darius 516, and Artaxerxes I also contributed to his share. So that many Babylonian and Persian also came to this place. And Nebuchadnezzar, if you remember his name, he is very famous in history, though the Cyrus and Darius and Artaxerxes and other rulers of ancient Persia are very important. But Nebuchadnezzar is particularly well known for one thing. And what is that one thing? जी बताएं, what is the one thing so much associated with Nebuchadnezzar? जी, Nebuchadnezzar was a ruler of Babylonia, of course. तो उसकी जिस खातून के साथ शादी हो गई, she came from the northern areas, which was very fertile, and there were a lot of gardens. So when she came to the Babylonia, he told Nebuchadnezzar, I am quite disappointed. यहाँ तो कोई बाग ही नहीं है, कुछ भी नहीं है. I am so unhappy. I am coming from a very fertile area, full of gardens. तो यहाँ तो कुछ भी नहीं है. So in order to please his wife, Nebuchadnezzar decided to build a garden. That garden historically today is known as Hanging Gardens of Babylonia. So the name of Nebuchadnezzar is related to the Hanging Gardens. That is very important. Sometimes we talk about these gardens also. When we are talking about the 7 wonders of the world. Although the Quran doesn't mention the name Jerusalem, the Hadith assert that it was from Jerusalem that Prophet Muhammad ascended to heaven in the night journey, or al-Isra and Miraj. So that is the importance of this place also. And of course, that will be topic of our discussion, inshallah, next week. What is al-Isra and what is Miraj? And al-Isra is a surah in Quran, which is also known as Surah Bani Israel. Two names for the same surah. Al-Isra, that is Miraj, and Bani Israel, of course, is children of Israel. Two names for the same. We will look at that, inshallah, next time. Arab Caliphates in 638 took charge of the city. The Rashidun Caliph Umar ibn al-Khattab personally went to the cleaning out and the praying at the Temple Mount. In the process, 6 years later, the Dome of the Rock was built. So this is the time, during the time when the Khalifa Umar ibn al-Khattab conquered the city and cleaned the city. The city was in total mess at that time. So he personally went there and उन्होंने अपने हाथों से उस area को साफ किया and cleaned it of all the dust. And then he prayed over there. And then, of course, after 6 years after the conquest of the city by the Muslims, the Dome of the Rock was built by an Umayyad Caliph. Under Umayyads, 650 to 750, and Abbasids, 750 to 669 dynasties, the city prospered and geographers Ibn Hawkal and al-Astakri describe it as the most fertile province of Palestine, while its native son, the geographer al-Maqads, इसको मुकद्दसी भी कहते हैं, मुकद्दसी भी कहते हैं. The number of pronunciation of the words, so we shouldn't bother much. The spelling should be correct. He was born in 946, devoted many pages to its praises in his most famous work that is known as the Best Divisions in the Knowledge of the Climes. So this is the map which was prepared at that time in the 10th century or so by al-Maqdisi. And he draws the map nearly correctly. This is the city, and this is the platform which we are talking about today. And he mentioned, he put the Dome of the Rock over here and the mosque over here. But nevertheless, very close to what we see today. And we come to our main focus today, the Battle al-Masjid al-Aqsa. First of all, what is Aqsa? Aqsa has two meanings. One meaning is the distance from one place to another place. But the other meaning is the height of something. For example, if you go to the Arab-speaking countries like Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, Bahrain, तो आप देखेंगे कि आप किसी अंडर when you go to an underpass तो उसके ऊपर लिखा होता है, जहाँ हमारा लिखा होता है ना हाइट 6 फुट है, हाइट 10 मीटर या 2 मीटर, तो वहाँ लिखा होगा अल-अक्सा 3 मीटर, so that means the height is 3 meters. So it has dual meanings. It refers to the distance and it refers to the height. So in our case, it refers to the distance in one way, because it is very far from the center of Islam, that is Mecca and Medina. And secondly, it is also the height, because it shows the culmination of a civilization, that is the religion of Islam, and how this thing came into being. And it was an Aqsa in the form of a height, or the climax, or the zenith, because at one stage this place or this mosque was the Qibla Awwal of Islam. So that is the importance, and it goes both ways, the height as well as the distance. So this is a reference to the Masjid al-Haram, and there is a reference to the Masjid al-Aqsa. Over here you see al-Masjid al-Aqsa al-Balazi. तो इसमें जिक्र है सूरह इसरा जिसकी अभी बात हो रही थी, उसमें जिक्र आता है मस्जिद al-Haram का भी और Masjid al-Aqsa भी together, because Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, first of all he traveled from Medina to Mecca, and from Mecca to Masjid al-Aqsa. And then supposedly, when we learn, not supposedly, he came to this place and he led a prayer of all the prophets that had come before him. उन्होंने यहाँ नमाज पढ़ाई, and then after that namaz, or that after that salat, he ascended to the heavens. We talk about that later on. So coming to the Bait al-Maqdis, or the Masjid al-Aqsa, exalted is he who took his servant by night from al-Masjid al-Haram to al-Masjid al-Aqsa, whose surroundings we have blessed to show him of our signs. Indeed, he is the hearing and the seeing. So this is a passage from Surah al-Isra. And then the most important elements at that platform, the Dome of the Rock. This seems a little repetition, but I have to point it out. This is the Dome of the Rock, the Masjid al-Aqsa, and the Wailing Wall. The historian believed that the Prophet Ibrahim, peace and blessing be upon him, was the one who built or ordered al-Aqsa to be built. Now we have two very important references to Hazrat Ibrahim alayhi salam. Number one, that he was in the place which is now known as Mecca. He was there with his wife Hajra, and also his son Ismail alayhi salam. But then he left Hajra and Ismail alayhi salam over there, and he came to Bait al-Maqdis on the orders of Allah, no doubt. And because Hajra was there, and she was angry, and the son was thirsty. So she was running between two hillocks, which are known as Safa and Marwa, praying to Allah, kuch to kar, bandobast kar, pani ka bachcha pyasa hai. So then the angel Jibreel. Please remember that the word is not Jibreel, the word is Jibreel, not Jibreel. So Jibreel came to Hazrat Hajra and told her to hit the ground with her heel. तो उन्होंने हिल को हिट किया तो एक चश्मा निकल आया, which is still running today, and that is the जिसको हम Zamzam कहते हैं. So I think, and because of Zamzam, the city grew up there. But then when Ibrahim came back, he, according to the revelation of the Allah and according to the orders of the Allah, he built a house over there that is known as the Baitullah, or the house of Allah. And that is what we know as the Kaaba today. Sometime we have to discuss what Kaaba is and why Kaaba is known as Kaaba and what is the history of Kaaba. But nevertheless, Hazrat Ibrahim alayhi salam is considered historically as the architect of two most important monuments. One is the Kaaba and second is the Masjid al-Haram. The Masjid al-Aqsa. So the credit goes to him. And that is why when we are praying, particularly when we are reciting the Rood Sharif, so we are referring to Hazrat Ibrahim alayhi salam and also the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon both of them. The Prophet is there, but over the Prophet there was a much older Prophet which was also preaching the same religion, and that was the Prophet Ibrahim alayhi salam, the father of our religion.